Hey, old Plaidman here. You have to excuse the bad hairdo and yeah, the bad lighting. I just wanted to make this video. It's kind of a weird video. The short version of it is I posted a quote from Tucker Carlson, um, and he was doing a podcast, and basically he said men will do nothing until they have to, and then they'll do everything. Anything is actually what he said. And I thought that was very profound and very interesting. And I posted it on Facebook. And then what ended up happening was a couple people responded. I don't have a ton of followers on Facebook. Like, people were actively, I'm not super active on it. But then I had a person close to me who commented and then deleted their comment. And because they're close to me, somebody else was like, hey, that could be construed as rude or whatever. And I thought it was interesting because I read their comments and then I texted them afterwards because they're close to me. I can text. Modern day and age where you can communicate with someone. And I was like, hey, what's up? Like, you deleted your comment. And what was interesting to me is that this person took that comment and like flipped it the other way, in the sense of, instead of it being like, hey, in a bad situation, you know, men will just basically, let's look at it in the worst possible way. Men are inherently lazy, but when push comes to shove, they will do all of the things, right? That's one way to look at it. That maybe that's not flippy, but you get the idea. And this is a woman who did this comment. She interpreted it as like, this is why women should do everything, ladies. Because you give a lady a job, she'll get it done. Now, aside from the fact that YouTube, until very recently, was run by a woman and didn't do well, and we could probably look at several other instances of women taking over things, and how the billionaire list, all the women on the billionaire list are all men, and the few women that are, most of the billionaire list is all men, and the few women that are on the billionaire list, outside of, I think, J.K. Rowling, are inherited money. Okay, so we could take that as a note of point. But it was interesting to me that it invoked this thought process, and I was frankly not annoyed at the person, but kind of annoyed at this concept of where we are in the world, where, okay, men are doing men things, women are doing women things, and it's just, it has to be this or that. It has to be, yeah, see, men are lazy, and then at the last minute, then they'll start to do things. Or if you want something done from the beginning, you just have a woman do it. And the problem I have with that is, like, okay, take that to its ultimate end, and like, okay, so women should just do everything. Well, if that were true, then fine. Then just have women do everything. Like, go ahead, do all the things. Like, please, go do gardening, go do all this manual labor, do underwater welding, do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not saying women can't do those things, but I will say that there is a large segment of jobs out there in the world right now, I'm pretty sure wherever you live, that there's like no women who do it, like at all. Like at all. Gardening is one of them. Like, hey, I clean, do people's yards and weed whack and all that stuff. I think I live in Los Angeles and I do travel a lot for work and yada, yada, yada. Within Los Angeles, I'm not like super fancy. I travel for work. No. But like, just in driving around, there's like less than 1% of women who singularly do like yard maintenance. I've seen a woman with another dude, or even two guys doing yard work. I don't think I've ever seen a singular woman or even a group of women do that. Now, reversely, I'll give it this way. As far as house cleaning, I've very rarely seen dude crews who do house cleaning. So there is that. I just find it very interesting, this concept of like, oh yeah, you know, there's this famous song. I don't know who did it, but it's just like, you know, the woman's like, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than that. Whatever. And it's just, it's an interesting concept because it's like, well, no. Sorry. Women can't do everything the same or better than man. Like, they can do a lot of things, and thanks to technology, there is even more things that are not as physically demanding as they used to be, and therefore the barrier to entry is lower, and so it's less physically demanding, so the more women hypothetically could do that. But then you run into the issue of like, okay, but do they want to do it? So, and then you run into the other thing of like, oh, hey, but women like want more female executives, and it's just like, okay, fine, sure, have more female executives. I don't really care. However, what percentage of women are in that business in general? Whether it be engineering or rocket science or just corporate espionage or whatever it is. You know, soldiers, for instance, like there's certain things like, hey, yeah, you 150-pound woman, you're a soldier, that's great. This 220-pound dude who's got like 8% body fat, he's going to clobber you. Like in a close-to-close hand-to-hand combat situation, he's gonna wreck you. And furthermore, even if you're on the same team, this 150-pound woman is gonna have a hell of a time carrying a 220-pound male if he's injured. Just saying. There's a lot of other stuff to unpack as far as why women shouldn't be in the military, but it's not an even Steven thing. It's not a black or white thing. It's not a one or the other thing. It's a whole complicated situation that I think it's really important that we have discussions about. And in my offense, like as in to discredit me, I haven't really had this conversation with the person in general because I didn't know how to talk to them about it. And that's part of the reason for this video is like, look, love my wife, love the person I'm talking to, had a wonderful conversation with a really good female friend of mine, and she interpreted what I was saying as if I was anti-women. And I was like, what? How? You've known me for like 15 years. How am I anti-woman? At no point in my life have I been anti-woman. That's so weird that you would take what I said and forget everything else and just be like, you said this comment that could be construed per my interpretation as you think women are black. And in that context, what I was talking about is women voting, which is a side note thing, but effectively there was an amendment to the Constitution where women could vote. And what my point in that situation was is, hey, perhaps if you looked at the voting record of women throughout the ages, you would be surprised, you would be probably appalled, depending on your politics, as to who women tend to vote for. I am trying to find it. I haven't found it yet, but I know the data exists where you can see who women vote for. And if I look in more recent like stuff, it's very notable and interesting how like, well, yeah, women vote a certain way, men vote a certain way, married men, married women vote a certain way, and then based on their jobs and things of this nature. So it's just a fact. Like, it's just a fact of life that it's kind of like, yeah, no, they skew this way or that. I haven't presented the data to them and reintroduced the conversation because it was such a hot button issue that was also infused by alcohol, so that was extra fun, that just caused a bit of a riff. That being said, hi, Cyrus. Hi, this is Cyrus. He's super handsome. Hi, buddy. Yeah, you see yourself? You're good. He wants me to throw the ball for him. Anyways, so this is a weird, like, look, I'm not a feminist. I'm not a masochist or a misogynist. Masochist is a different thing. My apologies. I'm not that either. But what I want to point out is that there are men and women, two different genders, and they tend to specialize in certain things, one way or the other. they tend to be better at them. They tend to succeed better. One could argue it's even easier for them. It's something that they think better with, they flow better with, whatever. Okay, and I want to be cheeky and like, yeah, men are better at making stews and women are better at making sandwiches, or some stupid thing like that. I don't even know if men are better at making stews. I kind of doubt it. But like, that's not what I'm talking about. It's just there are differences, and those differences are okay. And we need to acknowledge that men and women are different. If you were to take a child male and a child female and put them in a separate room, which has been done through science, they've done this, and you'll see the things that the male child and the female child go towards when you give them a bunch of toys. They will tend to go towards certain toys over the other toys, and they will do certain things with those toys that the other sex won't do. Like, these are just things that exist. There are inherent differences amongst the sexes, and that is not a bad thing. It is imperative that we as human beings acknowledge, realize that there are differences, acknowledge the strengths and the weaknesses of the other sex, and be like, okay, how do I help fill that void? And then reversely, how I know I have a weakness, how do I enlist the help of the other sex? Like, hey, look, I'm great at this. I just suck at this other thing. I need your help with that because you can do that. And I try to do it. I'm not perfect. My wife does so many things so well. It's wonderful. And part of me thinks that, like, oh my God, I'm failing in my department because she's so successful and so capable in all these things. Then it kind of lays to me like, well, bro, what are you doing here? Like, are you just here for the D, or like, what's your, what is your purpose? Why are you here? Anyways, so ultimately that's kind of another challenge because we live in a certain day and age. But I want to say that we as people and we as human beings need to realize that there is the male and female, and there is a comfortable balance and a comfortable equilibrium that exists. And it's very important to realize and acknowledge the strengths of both. And yeah, to an extent, I would argue greatly, men will lollygag or be lazy or just like, meh. And then when push comes to shove, if they need to do a thing, they will go all out, 110%. They will do impossible feats, things that were never done before. Men will accomplish it in times unperceivable because it had to be done. Whereas women have a different flow. Women will probably have a fucking PowerPoint like presentation of has to be done. Okay, do this. And I don't know about the other thing. I don't know what happens if some thing happens. It's like, well, bleh. But that's not really the point. There are strengths and there are weaknesses in both sexes, and I think it's imperative that we as human beings both realize that, hey, you have inherently baked into your biological cake strengths and weaknesses. So find someone who has those preferably opposite strengths and weaknesses and can help you find a symbiotic relationship. And again, sorry about the shitty lighting and all that stuff. I'm going to do another video shortly. I just wanted to post this out. Love you all. Plaidman out.